This is probably the biggest book haul that I have ever done. I am so excited right now. Let's hop into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, welcome to the family. My name is Dina. I am so happy to have you guys here. So not all of these books I've read completely, but I will share with you my progress on them, and the ones that I've read more of, I will give you a little bit of a deeper summary and understanding about what the book's about and my thoughts on them. The first one that I want to talk about is The Elements of Spellcrafting by Jason Miller. This one I've read in its entirety, and guys, I honestly have to say this is such a good book. Honestly, I would say it's beginner friendly, but also like intermediate friendly as well. If you're looking to really strengthen your ability to have very successful magic, successful spells, then this is the book for you. I was attracted to this book because I wanted something that wasn't just like the simple beginner spell books that I had, and as much as it's fun to start with those ones, I kind of got past that point and I'm like, I need something to help me strengthen my magic. I need something to help me think a little bit more, to dive a little bit deeper. And honestly guys, I have to say I love Jason Miller's style of writing and I love his perspective on magic, and I actually ended up buying 3 more books by him, which I'll talk about in this video. But the reason I loved his perspective is he takes this very realistic and kind of more of a reasonable scientific approach on magic. He doesn't call himself a witch, he actually calls himself a sorcerer. It was a very different and interesting perspective, but the way he approaches magic is so helpful and very practical that I feel like it's something that every single witch and practitioner needs to read, because sometimes people get unrealistic expectations of what magic and manifestation or law of attraction can do for them, and they don't really realize how they need to really work it into mundane everyday activities. So he brings up some very important questions, things that people need to consider when they are casting a spell, when they're doing a ritual. Like, is your life enchantable? If you're using magic to try and get a job, are you putting out resumes? Are you seeking opportunities? Are you doing the work? Because, you know, magic, and this is another thing he brings up, and I love the way he words it, magic is an influence. It is not a cause. I want to repeat that again. Magic is an influence, it is not a cause. So you cannot solely rely on magic to just fix all your problems in life. It is something that you use in your everyday life when you're working through your process. He's like, make a plan that can happen without magic. So make a plan to get a job, or make a plan to, I don't know, raise money for something. Make a plan that can happen without magic, and then use magic to make sure that it does happen. So these are just some quotes from Jason Miller. It's honestly so refreshing, and it's just such a beautiful perspective. These are just little bits of so much knowledge and so much amazing perspective that is this book. It's honestly so good, guys. I highly recommend it. I feel like Jason Miller does a really good job at kind of bringing you back to earth, like grounding you and be like, okay, is it realistic? There's so much you can do with magic, but like you have to have a plan. And he talks about utilizing magic as not in like a quick fix or emergency magic, because that never works well, but more as something that you can use along the way on your journey for various steps, like enchanting the step to attract job opportunities. And then when you get a job opportunity, maybe you charm your resume or something, and then maybe you use a spell to help with your interview. Like, he talks about each step along the way and how you can utilize magic, and he talks about his personal experiences and his experiences, what he's done with clients. It is amazing. This is probably the book I'm going to talk about most in this video, because mostly it's a haul video. I haven't read them all, but I really wanted to drive home how spectacular this book is. Oh yeah, and the links are below for all the books I'm going to talk about in this video. So like I said, Jason Miller's book was so good. I'm like, I need more books by him. I'm going to read all of his books because I feel like there's just so much I can learn from him. I got Financial Sorcery, Magical Strategies to Real and Lasting Wealth. And I'm like, he takes a practical approach to magic that is actually helpful and not unrealistic. And the thing I like about this book, and I just started it, I'm not even halfway through yet. The thing I like about it is he talks about using magic to become financially stable and make good financial decisions, and not that quick fix that people always go for. Or a lot of practitioners don't utilize money magic in the way that they can. Like, they don't take full advantage of it. He talks about money magic being actually like the weakest point in magic for a lot of practitioners. practitioners. It's like we can manifest a whole bunch of other things to happen, and we can make magic work for so many other areas of our lives, but like something that a lot of practitioners and witches struggle with is specifically money and prosperity magic. So I am super interested to see how deep he goes into that and the advice he gives about that. He talks about money as spirit, and he talks about relationship to money. So it's not just money magic, but it's like money mindset and all the things that you really need to work on to manifest wealth into your life, because it's not just about doing the spell, it's about your mindset. It's about doing the deep work as well. Magic has always been about that. Like, you can't manifest without the reflection aspect of things. So I love that he's already talking about that and being realistic about magic. So far, so good. I'm really excited to continue reading this. I want to read a small portion of the back for you just to give you a better idea of what to expect from this book. Financial Sorcery will give you the step-by-step instructions on how to improve your fiscal situation. You will learn how to stop using magic to fix emergency problems and start using it to build your dream life. Use times of economic uncertainty to create new opportunities rather than cause problems. Work joyfully with money as part of your spiritual discipline rather than as a necessary evil. Make offerings to help increase the flow of prosperity around you. Ditch old concepts and retrain your mind to make money in today's world. Use the interplay of macro and micro enchantment to find jobs and get promoted. Deploy strategic sorcery to kill your debt and create secondary income streams that will ensure continued revenue. So I figured we'll just talk about all the Jason Miller stuff to get started, and then we'll get into the other ones. I picked up Protection and Reversal Magic, a Witch's Defense Manual. I was drawn to this because I wanted a protection magic book. And once you get past the beginner stages of magic, there are no intermediate books that contain everything. You have to get more specified, specialized topics. It's kind of like university. In your first year, you take an intro to psych course. It kind of includes all of the above, but it's just bits and pieces of everything. It doesn't really go into real depth. But then as you get into your later years, second year, third year, fourth year, you have more specialized courses like abnormal psychology and clinical psychology. That's basically how it works with magic. Once you get past the beginner phase and you're done with your beginner books, you start to get more specialized content. So I got a protection book. I decided I can trust Jason Miller to do a good job for that for me because I already loved his first book. There's not much I can tell you about it yet because I haven't read it, but I decided that maybe I would just read, let's do the contents. Yeah, let's read the table of contents so you have a clear idea of like what the book offers. So we have an introduction. Chapter 1 is all about recognizing attack. Chapter 2 is daily practices. Chapter 3 is personal protection. Chapter 4 is about protection for the home. Chapter 5 is about exorcism. I am extremely interested in that. Chapter 6 is about spirit guardians and servitors. Chapter 7 is about reversals and counter magic. Chapter 8 is about healing and recovery. And then chapter 9 is final words. Yes, I'm really excited about it. I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be a great book. Okay, so the last book that I'm going to talk about from Jason Miller is The Sorcerer's Secrets, Strategies in Practical Magic. And the reason why I picked this one up is because it kind of sounded like a very, I guess, generalized book about other techniques that you can use to strengthen your spell work and your success rate. It gave me similar vibes to this one. I have no idea how similar the books are. I'm sure they're very different in their information, but maybe similar in the idea that this gives you tools to have more success in your spells overall. And then this might also do the same thing. I don't know. I haven't started reading it yet, so I can't tell you for sure, but I'm really excited about it. And all these books get really good reviews. So I just want to read part of the back of the book just to give you, again, another idea about what to expect. You will learn how to attack problems from multiple angles, not just by casting a spell. See, this is what I love about Jason Miller is he looks at things from like a completely holistic point of view. He's not narrow-minded in his magic, which I think is very important in successful spell casting. You will also learn to blend mundane and magical action to ensure success. You will learn to figure out whether what you are doing is working and fix it if it isn't, to go beyond readings into magical intelligence gathering, and also work most effectively on behalf of others. So if you're interested in casting spells for other people, that could be very helpful. So the next book I'm going to talk about, which I was going to do a disclaimer at the beginning of this video, but I kind of forgot. Not all of these books are all age friendly. Some of them have a little bit more of like mature subjects in them. So I would say probably like at least 16, probably 18 and up. I am not going to talk about any of those topics in this video, so this video is safe for all ages, but not all the books are good for everybody. So please do your research, have a clear idea of what the book is about, and you know, if it's age appropriate for you, or if you're buying it for someone, make sure it's age appropriate for them. The next book I want to talk about is Of Blood and Bones by Kate Ruler. I'm currently reading this. I haven't finished it yet. The reason why I was drawn to this book is because it is not fluffy love and light. It is literally about the dark side of magic as well. She is not afraid to talk about the shadow, and in this book she talks about working with shadow magic and the dark moon, and I was very interested in this. I want to learn about all the magic, and I have been diving deeper into, you know, shadow work and learning more about the darker sides of my own self, because we all have to learn about all of that. It's part of our healing process. It's so important. It is toxic to only talk about the good, the positive, the happy. Like, that's toxic positivity. We all have darkness within us. We all have healing to go through, and I thought this would be the perfect book companion for that. Now, it does talk about baneful magic as well, like curses, hexes, jinxes, that kind of thing. While I have zero intention of doing that myself, and it's just a personal choice, I'm not going to attack witches that do choose to use that magic. I think there's always a better choice that you can make, a better way to handle situations. So that is the reason why I personally would choose not to use these types of magics. You know, like, I would rather do a cord cutting ritual before I wish harm upon somebody else. So that is my personal reasoning, but I have no problem learning about these magics, because I think while it's cool to learn about all the positive, happy, love and light stuff, it's important to learn the entirety of magic. And also, I think a good way to also understand protection magic to its fullest and how to utilize protection magic in a very successful way, then you need to learn what you're protecting yourself from. It's like light and dark, or good and bad, they go hand in hand. They don't exist without each other. If there was no bad in this world, we wouldn't know what good means. I'm gonna read you guys the content so you have a clear idea of what this book's about if you are curious about it. Part 1 is all about shadow work and the dark moon current. There's 4 chapters: the dark moon current and liminal spaces. Chapter 2 is deities and the dark moon. Then we have dark moon crafts and basics, and then we have dark moon divination. And then part 2 goes into blood and bones. So it's like the kind of a little bit ackier stuff for some people. I'm gonna tell you what her take on it is in a second, but she talks about blood and other fluids in witchcraft, animals and their parts, and then bones and skulls. She clearly states in this book that she does not endorse hurting of animals or anybody. She talks about safe and also cruelty-free ways of going about these. Like, you can use bones that you've collected from a dead animal in your practice. You don't have to hurt an animal. She does talk about that specifically, so don't get too worried and stressed about that. It's not my type of magic, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think I'll ever use these types of ingredients in my magic. It's just not my ingredients of choice, but it's there. It's interesting. I want to learn about everything. Part 3 is the forbidden craft. So we have the witch's curios, the poppet, cursing and other magical manipulations, and then sacrifice. Part 4, which is looking death and rebirth in the face. Chapter 12 is death and death rites. Chapter 13 is working with the death. And then chapter 14 is all about rebirth. And then she just has, you know, conclusions, recommended resources, bibliography, and spell index. So this book is packed with a lot of information. I'm really excited to continue to read this book. The next book I am currently reading, I've read almost half of the book already. It is called Yoga for Witches by Sarah Robinson. This has been on my wish list for so long, guys. So Sarah Robinson is a yoga and meditation teacher who works out of the UK. Honestly, guys, this book is actually way more than I expected. I was expecting like yoga poses for witches. Like, I don't know why I like downplayed it so much, but I was like excited excited about that just because I've been trying to really have a consistent yoga routine for like years now. Honestly, it's been a struggle. I have a really hard time staying motivated at home. So I'm like, yoga, witchcraft, two things that I'm really interested in. I'm curious to see like what her take on it is. And this book, I have to say, is so much more than I expected. First of all, the way she talks about using yoga in your practice and like connecting to your body and your intuition more through this is just so practical and also helpful and inspiring. And I want to be clear on like, this book is not just about the asanas, like the poses of yoga. It is about the entirety, like the entire practice of yoga itself. And it actually has so much more information and background of yoga than I could have expected. I am going to 100% use this as a reference whenever I want to learn about yoga and like really remember all the like concepts of yoga, because there's actually so much to it. Yoga is a lifestyle choice. It's a mindful lifestyle, and she goes into depth about that. But again, it's packed with so much information about yoga that I feel like I'm gonna have to read it quite a few times to really fully remember and understand it all. But I also didn't realize how much yoga and witchcraft have in common. Honestly, I have to say this book really inspired me to incorporate yoga into my witchcraft practice. I think it's just gonna be so beautiful and so helpful, and I could honestly rave about this book forever, guys. I highly recommend it. It is really good so far. All right, guys, I have 3 more books to share with you. So the next one I got, which I haven't started yet, is To Fly by Night, The Craft of the Hedgewitch. And this one's actually edited by Veronica Kumar, but there isn't a single author. This is a collection of experiences and writings by various practitioners, witches, who specifically take part in the craft of being a hedge witch, of riding the hedge or hedge riding. Now, I picked this book up because I have been very intrigued and interested in this craft, and I don't fully understand it. I'm gonna be completely honest. I got this book because I have so many unanswered questions and I really want to learn about it more. Like one that comes to mind, and if you know the answer to this, please feel free to comment below. I'm still curious to see what the book shares with me. But what is the difference between hedge riding and something like astral projection? And I'm really interested about this. Honestly, any sort of book that talks about consciousness and the things that a human is capable of doing with their mind, it blows my mind. Like honestly, I love anything related to that. I'm also just really curious about the techniques they talk about. How do they reach these states of consciousness? I'm gonna read the back of it for you so you have a clear understanding of what the book is about. So hedge witchcraft takes its name from the practice of traveling beyond the boundaries of going past the hedgerows that divide what is known from what is unknown. Hedge witches utilize diverse techniques to undertake the night flight into strange and sometimes dangerous places in order to gain spirit allies, magical abilities, and knowledge to heal and to commune with the gods and ancestors. The art of hedge witchcraft is something that is completely new to me, so I'm really excited. All right, so my final 2 books aren't witchcraft per se, but they're still in the new age field, and I think you guys will still be very interested in them. So I picked up Letters to a Starseed by Rebecca Campbell. Oh my goodness, that must be like blind. Is that blinding you guys? So this is messages and activations for remembering who you are and why you came here. So the reason I was drawn to this book is because I knew it was like broken down in little bits and pieces, like the really tiny, about 2-page chapters. It's like the kind of book that you can just pick up first thing in the morning, quickly read something before you get ready. Just like start your day off on a more positive or mindful state. So I thought this would be a really good idea, especially on the days that I don't have time to dive deep in a book, but I still want to get some sort of reading in. I want to give you a kind of a clear understanding of what the book's about. So I figured like maybe I'll read part of one of the chapters. Let's read a bit from this. It's called You Were Never Meant to Fit In. Don't waste this precious life trying to fit in. It'll never work and will be a waste of a life. Yours. Who you are is far more than you could even begin to fathom. You were never meant to fit in. Being you is the whole point. point. Don't spend your days squeezing your uniqueness into a box-shaped world. Your soul needs room to breathe, to be woven here. Let all of who you are spill over. Better than that, forget the box altogether. Who you are was never meant to be contained or restrained. You were never meant to fit in. Being you is the whole point. And that is just a portion of it. I'm not going to read the entire thing. Honestly, I'm really excited, and I'm going to try and make it a habit that whenever I am feeling stressed, whenever I am feeling disconnected, misaligned, to try and come back to this book and just be present again and take some deep breaths. So that is Letters to a Starseed. I have one more book to share with you, and I am so excited. This book is huge. It is huge. It is called Llewellyn's Complete Book of Lucid Dreaming, a comprehensive guide to promote creativity, overcome sleep disturbances, and enhance health and wellness by Claire R. Johnson, PhD. Oh my god, this is the best lucid dreaming book I've ever found. I'm so excited. I'm trying not to be loud because my brother is still sleeping. Let's get into this book because I have a lot to say about it. The thing I love about this book is, to start, it gives you so much science. So Claire R. Johnson is actually the first, I believe she's the first or one of the first to actually study lucid dreaming for her PhD. So she talks a lot about the science behind lucid dreaming and how way back in the day, scientists didn't believe this was a thing. They didn't think lucid dreaming was actually a real thing. They thought people were making this up. And she talks about the studies. I'm not going to go into great detail about that, but it is so fascinating, guys. I'm going to talk a little bit about like the parts. There's so many chapters. I'm not going to list off all the chapters for you guys, but I am going to share the parts with you just so you have a clear understanding of what you're going to get out of this book. So part one is all about how to lucid dream. So it talks about triggering lucid dreaming. It talks about how to stay lucid, using magic in your dreams, controlling dreams. Part two is lucid dreaming to promote creativity, skills, and pleasure. Part three is lucid dreaming to assist sleep disturbances and overcome nightmares. And this is a big one because a lot of people don't actually realize that lucid dreaming can be used as almost a therapy. So if you are struggling with nightmares, if you are having stress dreams, things like that, lucid dreaming can actually be used to your advantage to help aid in that. So that is a really big one. It also talks about, could lucid dreaming be a remedy for sleep disorders? So this is still like very new research, but super interesting that she's taking lucid dreaming to like a whole new level. Part four is lucid dreaming for healing and well-being. And then part five is the final part, and it's extraordinary lucid dreaming for connection and oneness. So she talks about lucid dreaming telepathy. I'm so excited about this chapter. She talks about out-of-body experiences. Honestly, just so much information. So if you are a lucid dreaming fanatic like me and you haven't picked this book up, get yourself the book. And also I have links in the description box. Like I said, if you guys want to support my channel, I get a small commission from your purchase through the Amazon links below. So if you do want to support me, I would truly appreciate it. But if you have the ability to buy local and you want to do that, I applaud you for that too, because I love supporting local businesses. But if you are planning to order things online anyways, then your girl would appreciate the support. And honestly, guys, at the end of the day, I just appreciate your presence. Thank you so much for being part of my spiritual journey with me. If you guys are interested in seeing more content like this and other witchcraft and spirituality based content, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. I put up new videos every single week and I wouldn't want you guys to miss out on them. I hope you guys have an amazing day or night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye, guys.